What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Loot Bros podcast. That's right. We're back. I'm back. So here's how things are going to work. I have a very special episode of the podcast that I did with my friend Gaz Davis, number 2 community member next to Zach, but good friend of the show and the host of the annual Rarity event. So he and I are going to sit down and have a conversation about the annual Rarity event. And what we're going to do is month to month, we're going to jump back in here in the Loot Bros feed, and we are going to talk about this kind of stuff. And who knows, we might have some special guests show up. We might have some things happen here and there. So we did say farewell for now, and for now has now expired. So here's the way things are going to work moving forward, guys. I'm going to be doing the Resident Darrell podcast. I will be posting episodes here in the Loot Bros feed. They may actually have their own feed as well, too. We will see. These things will kind of be a mixture of the Loot Bros podcast and some things that are going to kind of come in from my YouTube channel. And then, of course, I'll start dropping some of the Patreon content into the feed so that you guys have shows week in and week out. That's kind of the plan moving forward. We'll see how it works. Now that I am recording early in the mornings, I may be able to open up the show to a different crew of guests to sprinkle in from time to time in different time zones. You never know. We may even be able to get the affectatious one back on the show once in a blue moon. Who knows? We'll see. No promises. That is the pledge of moving forward. So, guys, thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all the kind words that everyone sent, everyone wrote, and the things that were said on other podcasts. We really appreciate you guys. We did have to step away for a while, and the way things are going to look moving forward is a little bit different, but I can promise you'll hear about video games. And we do want to have at least a monthly show that supports the community events. We don't want the community to go away, and we don't want to stop having fun. And guys like Gareth have put so much time and effort into the Rarity event. Guys like JT, the commish, shout out to the commish, has put so much time into making sure the backlog beatdown continues to work. So we definitely appreciate you guys and your commitment to the community. And I want to reward that with at least a monthly place to get together and celebrate the things that are happening, and look forward to 2024 with new events and new contests and new ways for us to game together. So guys, thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy this nearly hour and a half conversation that Gareth and I have. We talk a ton about some games, and we have a good time. It's good to see Gaz. It was good to talk to Gaz, and hope you guys enjoy. So here we go.
I feel the minutes count down on the clock again. Feel like I'm playing in a game that I can never win. Time is running out, I know I gotta make a choice. So many whispers in my ear that I can't hear my voice. Tell me, will it end the situation that I'm in? Or am I bound to sit alone, drowning in my sins? Get right or get left, what will it be? Time is running out, the blood is flowing down the streets. People need to know we're living in a war zone. Hit the streets with the truth, tell them that it's on. Get right or get left.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Loot Bros podcast. I'm your host, Resident Darrell, and I have a very special guest with me, my friend Gaz Davis. How are you doing, Gaz?
Thank you for having me on, Darrell. Really well, thank you very much. It's been I've been missing the podcast, I have to say. Trying to sort of spend a lot of time trying to find something similar. Obviously, you got a trophy yours, but it's and that's good. Obviously, part of the same community, but do missing, because the other one I listened to was the PlayStation UK podcast. That is closing down in the beginning of December as well. So that's 2 out of the 3 sort of main podcasts that I listen, that are community based ones that I listen to, will be closing down sort of before the end of the year. So it's good to be back, just doing little bits though.
Yeah, well, the plan moving forward is this. Originally we had done the farewell, okay, in quotations, of the Loot Bros. And I tried to make sure I was like, hey guys, by the way, there's enough Patreon content that's sitting here that we could technically exist for a year or more, and it would still be a thing. But once we kind of landed the plane, work has been kind of weird, the industry that I'm in is very, very bipolar, very up and down. And so it gave me some time to kind of focus on that, knock out a few things here at the house, give myself a little bit of a refresher, a little bit of a break, and to try to wrap my head around what I want to do moving forward, because I love talking with you guys. I love having the community stuff, and I don't want that to go away. But also podcasting late at night with people all over the United States and sometimes all over the world, it just wasn't working out, schedule wise. And it's been, I'm out of time. That's what I had said before when we landed the plane. It was just like, I don't have any more nights for this. I have booked them all up. So that being said, I'm looking at recording early in the mornings, kind of before the day gets started, which doesn't make any difference for the listeners. But as for me and scheduling and bringing on guests and people in different time zones, it may work better. We'll see. But I've got a few people that I've kind of spoke to about coming on occasionally, so it's not just always me rambling. But I agree with you. I've had a hard time lately with some of the shows that I listen to also going away, and some of them going on very large hiatuses as well. So I've had a bit of an opening in my listening, my podcast listening as well. So I hate that, we've left you hanging, but I'm hoping that moving forward, we'll be able to kind of fill that gap. And you and I have been talking in the background about potentially monthly, maybe more often if we can swing it, updates with the community stuff, because it looks like you're going to continue the Rarity event into next year. And that's one of the big focuses we've always had with the Loot Bros, is trying to come up with cool and fun things to involve the community on, so that it's not just, all right, now you're listening to Darrell talk about Resident Evil again for the 5,000th time. So I think this is a good opportunity to, nail that down. We'll do Rarity updates that way. And also, you don't have to do these hour-long weekly, or bi-weekly updates where it's like, hey, everybody, Zach didn't get any points again.
Yeah. Well, that's not going to change anyway.
I think from moving forward, even if he doesn't sign up for the next one, you should always have him in there. It's like,
well, it means that nobody else is going to finish last, do they? So.
There you go. So yeah. So I'm excited about doing this. I'm hoping that we can swing something, semi-regular, and this will be the first kind of catching up on the Rarity update and the games that you and I've been playing. So with that being said, do you want to go first, kind of talking about some of the games that you've been playing before we get into the update, or you want me to go first?
No, I can go first. I can. So, as you know, as we've been discussing, we've been talking, trying to, what have we done the GTTSC now for? Is it 2 years we've done it, or is it 3? 2?
So I think you did it 3 years, but I've only done it with you twice.
So twice, yeah. So, and both years, whilst we've done well in it, we've suffered at the end because a lot of the teams have ended up being sort of storing their platinums, right. And obviously we haven't had the foresight to do that. And but this year we have, and certainly I know that Rick has done bits, I've done bits, and so have you. So I'm hoping that when we come into it next year, whenever that might be, we'll be in a better position to potentially go even further than what we have done in previous years. So some of the games that I've been playing have been around setting up platinums where I've only needed maybe one trophy left to get in them. So from my perspective, I'll just run through a few games that I have been doing. So one of the ones that I've been working towards on a long-term basis, and it's still going to continue being long-term, is that of which I know that you've played as well, is Kung Fu Panda Showdown of Legendary Legends, and I'm grinding out the online on that, and that is a beast to grind out. That's sort of 5,000 XP you need, and you get at best 8 XP a match, so you're looking at a long time to try and sort of to do that. But the rest of it I've pretty much done, so it's just really the online aspect that I need to sort of continue with that, and I'm getting there. I'm playing The Messenger still. That's a game I started in the last GTTSC contest, but like I think a few, all three of us really, I think we suffered a little bit with a bit of burnout potentially because of how frequently and hard we were going at trophies on a daily basis, and I just wanted to chill out. I just wanted to take my time, sort of having. So some of these games that I'm playing at the moment are ones that I'd started, but never got round to actually finishing. And that's what obviously I'm trying to do at the moment. Messenger is one, and I'm really enjoying it. Though I go through fits and spurts on it. I had a good spell on it last weekend. It's definitely a game worth checking out. Really good atmosphere, good. Not certainly not a typical game that I would go for, but one I would sort of recommend to anyone who likes their 2D sort of roguelike games. I've been playing Art of Rally. I don't know if you've come across that one at all. I know you're not a massive driving game fan, but
I know which game you're talking about, and I have been on a several year hiatus on driving games. I used to love them. I mean, I played every Need for Speed up to a certain point. I don't really care for the simulator style games, but the more arcadey fun stuff I'm into. But I think somewhere around Most Wanted is kind of where I chilled out. I haven't finished the Vita version.
Oh yeah.
And I'll pick it up occasionally, play a couple races, do some of the open world stuff, and kind of put it down. I really loved, what was that one you and I platinum together?
Onrush.
Yes, I loved Onrush.
Yeah.
And I loved what was that Destruction Derby game? God, I can't even remember the name of it anymore. Wreckfest, yes, I love those. So for me, I kind of got out of more of the traditional racing and really into those Burnout style, just silly racing games.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about, Art of Rally.
Yeah, it's a sort of almost like not quite top down, but very similar. But it's a very different style type to what typically I would play. But it's not a bad game. It's going to be a little bit of a grind to get through it. I've been playing, obviously, those that know me, I love my football, so I picked up the new EA Sports FC 24, so I've been playing that a fair amount, mainly the online stuff, because I do love dishing out a bit of a whoop ass to people online. So I've been doing that. The other games, and then Hot Shot Racing is a platinum that I have secured in terms of getting it ready, absolutely ready. So that is a grind. And what I needed to do for that was to unlock all the customization of the cars, and you had to do that by doing sort of 500 seconds of drifting in each vehicle. There's 32 vehicles, 100 boosts and stuff. So I finally did all that, and then the last trophy is literally just for now going out and purchasing the equipment. So I've earned it all. I've got all the money to do it. It's now just a case of actually spending that money and doing it. So it's literally a 5-minute job until to get the platinum on that. And then the other one was Dangerous Golf, which I've lined up the platinum for now. I've done all the hard work on that, and I've just got a very simple sort of trophy to unlock to get the platinum on that. And that's pretty much sort of where I've been, to be honest with you. That's my gaming in a nutshell.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I'm sort of slowly getting back into it. And the more, like you, the more I sort of the part of choosing games, what to play next, and looking at games, looking at my backlog. I love that part almost as much as sort of playing the games. It's such a weird concept because I get sort of all excited about the next game that I can play or the next game that's coming out, and then I look at what I'm playing and I can't start it until I get at least a couple of. Because I finished actually, I got the plan on Lego Movie, the video game, which was one that I'd been sort of playing for a little while as well. So so there's a mix of games there that I've played, and I'm looking forward to starting a few new games as well.
Excellent. So like you, I've been kind of gearing up for the next GTSC, and I do believe that is kind of, we fought really hard and we made it really far, especially for a bunch of guys who have full-time jobs, families, and like didn't do the groundwork, I guess, to prepare. But I think this past contest really showed how much people are banking their platinums and banking some of these higher end trophies. And don't get me wrong, that's not the way I want to play. To me, that takes a lot of the fun out of it.
Yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been playing games that I'm enjoying up to a point, and then saying, okay, I can live with myself if I don't get this platinum just yet. And so a lot of the stuff that I'm banking isn't mega points, but I had mega fun to get there. And to me, that is the way I want to play games. And I've been playing some off the wall stuff, as far as the jumping styles and jumping types of games. So I'm just going to kind of go down the list in reverse order of what I've popped trophies in recently. Okay. So Hitman Absolution. I absolutely love this game. I have all the Hitman games, and I keep saying I'm going to go play Hitman. I'm going to play the newest Hitman. I'm going to play Hitman 1, 2, and 3, blah, blah, blah. But every time I go to do it, I'm like, man, you're a poser. You didn't play Absolution. And everyone says Absolution's good.
Talk about your Hitman games. Have you got the original ones? Because they did a HD remaster, didn't they?
Yes, I have those.
Because I keep thinking about going back and starting with that, because I used to love that. Is it Hitman 2? Is that Silent Assassin?
Yes, Silent Assassin. Yes.
What a game that was as well.
That was so good.
And I keep thinking about going back. We ought to do that. We ought to, like, when you're thinking about it, when we go back to start a new game, maybe sort of start it together. We can just
absolutely
going on with it.
So what I did was, and you guys have heard me on the show before talk about just placing consoles in different rooms for different, so I can get gaming in. Like right now, my horseshoe of a command center, I've got a PS3 on the center monitor. Okay. And then in my bedroom, I got a PS3 and the Switch. My wife and I have actually been playing Mario together on the Switch, and we've been having a blast. I didn't think she was serious. She's like, if you get me Mario, we'll play together. I was like, okay, whatever, sure. And we really are. But yeah, so when she goes to bed, like last night, I stayed up till almost 1 a.m. playing Hitman Absolution and was loving it. Now, will I prime this one to the platinum? I don't know. But right now, I'm having a good time.
That's a tough one, I think, to platinum.
I think it is, and I don't love stealth. Like I'll go stealth until I can't, until you see me, and I'm just going to kill everybody in the room. And that's what I did last night before bed. I got to this. I was running from the cops. I was kind of like this hotel apartment complex kind of thing, and it got to a certain point where I screwed up the thing I needed to do to distract everybody. I just was hitting the button too fast, or I don't know. Like I could have set off a bomb in a safe, and instead of doing that, I picked it up. I was like, oh crap. Well, I just got to throw this somewhere. So I threw it in this room, and it only distracted one guy, not the 10 that I needed. So I was like, he found me. I just killed everybody and walked out like nothing happened. So that's my kind of stealth. So I don't know that I'll ever platinum a Hitman game, but I remember having so much fun, with the Hitman 1 and 2. And I've got the HD version. I've got Hitman Contracts. I've got Absolution, all that stuff. And I remember old, co-host of the show, Frosty, always said that Hitman Absolution is amazing. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to put it in. So I randomly just pulled it the other night, started playing. I got 13 trophies in it already. And it's fun. I'm just having a really good time. So that being said, my Vita game of choice right now is XCOM Enemy Unknown. Game is awesome. Super fun. It is a strategy RPG, I guess real-time strategy RPG, and with permadeath. So it runs kind of like crap on the Vita, but there's so many systems and there's so much stuff going on. I'm very impressed with what I'm playing. And I wanted to start something that while I'm doing my social media marketing stuff and I'm in between my calls at work, that I can set something up and let it play and then kind of let it sit. You know what I'm saying? Like you can just sit there and they'll exist until it's my turn again. Yeah. So I've been really thinking about playing turn-based RPGs so that I can have something going in the background, but also not interfere with working, because I don't play video games while I work. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll start XCOM. And what's ended up happening is I just keep it on my Vita when I'm in Carolina or when I'm at my brother's house or something. I'm playing it and I'm having a good time with it. Only popped 1 trophy so far. So I don't know that this will be a GTTSC game, but as far as a game that I'm enjoying, I'm into that one. Now, Spider-Man 2, the boys and I played through it. Absolutely amazing game. The story is incredibly fun. The game is beautiful. The side content's a little questionable, at least the stuff we've experienced so far. The opening of the game was absolute fire. Like the opening sequence was so incredibly cool and fun. It kind of tampers down a little bit, like momentum wise, and it gets a little slower. But then once it ramps back up all the way to the conclusion, absolutely amazing game. So this is not one we'll sit on. The boys and I will continue to play this game on the weekends, and we'll platinum this game. And that's the way we did Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man, and that's how we're doing Spider-Man 2. So if you're on the fence about it, I recommend it. Rick had said something on Facebook recently, and that's our other teammate for the GTTSC. He said that it was just kind of mid, that it was more of the same. And I don't disagree with that. It is more of the same. So if you fundamentally didn't love Spider-Man before, I don't know that this game will change your mind. The web slinging is tighter. They add the wingsuit into it, so you can kind of do some flying in between. I don't use it personally unless the mission requires it. So that doesn't really get in my way at all. There's a lot of quality of life stuff when it comes to traversal, crossing water, things like that. Like, it's really cool. You can kind of web pull yourself and then skate across the water temporarily, and then web pull yourself again off of a boat or something and do it. So they really made traversal just so much better. And then the combat is turned up about a notch or two. And when you get the symbiote suit, it's a whole nother ball game. And the areas that they go with the story, it's just not what I thought. I thought the way they marketed this thing, it's going to be a Kraven story, and they take turns, and it's for the better, and it's awesome. Kraven's parts are really awesome, and there's no shortage of them, but they lead you to believe with the marketing that this is a certain game with a sprinkle of something else, and they definitely pivot, and it's really, really cool. I didn't expect it. And as a Spider-Man fan, like my boys have been Spider-Man fans since they were born. We got the comics, we got the movies, we got the cartoons, we've got all of it. So we follow Spider-Man pretty closely, and I was not disappointed at all, story and lore wise.
It did look good. I was watching some of Tricky's Extra Life stream. He had it on, and he played some. I thought he would have got further than what he did, actually, but considering he was gaming for 24 hours. But from what I saw of it, it did look good. It looked. Some of the set pieces were almost taken straight out of Spider-Man, the first game, from what I can see. The bit where I think on the site, when you land on a car and you've got to take the people out of the car, and it stops. And that's just exactly the same, isn't it? But you wouldn't expect them necessarily to change that. There's no need to change that aspect.
And I think too, that's also like a budget and time issue. Like right now, like all the hullabaloo and all the talk about the gaming industry is it's too expensive and games take too long. But I think it's really smart if you take a game, you've already got the bones, you've already got, structure, animations, a lot of things done, and you're making a sequel in the same area. Like, why wouldn't you reuse it? They change it a little bit. There's little things that are different, but ultimately the structure is the same. Now, for somebody like me, I don't mind getting in there when I only have an hour, doing a couple of these little side silly, car missions, rescue missions, enemy missions, whatever. And they don't have to look different personally. But again, I really love the first one. I love the structure, the check boxes. It's Ubisoft light, you know what I'm saying? Like Ubisoft games kind of blow my mind. There's just too much on the screen. There's too many options. There's too much to do. Spider-Man is a little cleaner, better polished version of that stuff. And it's fun because like we know our days are blocked off, like hours. Like, okay, here we have school and work. And then like I'm in car line for 35, 40 minutes for this kid. Then I got 30 minutes to kill. So what are we going to do? That's usually when I go to the post office, drop off all the stuff I sold. And then we go pick up another kid. But then I got to drive to this other school to get this other kid. So then we're only home, for 45 minutes to an hour before we have to be to church, or we have to be to soccer, or we have to be to volleyball, or we have to be to what is my other kid doing? Volleyball, soccer, church, karate. So it's just like there's these little times. It's like, what can you really do in 30, 45 minutes? You can play on your phone, watch YouTube, or you can make a quick meal. You just can't do a ton.
One thing you can't do with all that is podcast.
No, you really can't. Not especially not the way I like to run my mouth. So then it's like, okay, what works for that time frame? You know, like the kids like to drop in, they like to do a round or two a fortnight, and then boom, we're out. For me, it's jump into a Spider-Man, do a side mission or two, and then we're out. So these things work for my disjointed, fragmented schedule where we're go. But I know that kind of gets boring for people who can sit there for 5 hours at a time and consume a game in large, quantities. So for me, I have my favorite posts, my favorite responses are when someone posts something on Facebook. It's like a picture of this dude, and he has like a handful of money. And it's like, "Yo, dog, delete this."
Yeah, I saw you posted that on Rick. Yeah,
I've got 2 or 3 of them that I interchange, and so when I saw him put that on there, I was like, "Yo, big dog, delete this." But I get it. I understand. And when you can consume content, doing some of that repetitive stuff might not work for you, but it works for me in my use case. So therefore,
if he doesn't like repetition, he may as well try a new game like Skyrim or something.
I know, right? I bet he's never played that game before. So Spider-Man 2, I highly recommend, and it's fun. It is at its core, it's fun to play, and that's what I'm out. Because like you said earlier, after we do the trivia competitions, there was a decompressing time for all 3 of us. And I don't think I set out to decompress and not necessarily chase trophies as hard, but it was like, okay, I played a certain type of way for 12 or 14 weeks, however long we were in it. And then now I'm just like, all right, let's clean up. Let's play. All these games that popped up on my radar that I wanted to finish or wanted to play, like Resident Evil 4 Remake came out in the middle of it. I didn't touch it. I mean, I played like an hour, but then when we were done with GTSC, I went into Resident Evil 4 Remake and I bathed in it. It was so good, and I'm continuing to go through it. And I don't know that I'll platinum it, but I'll beat it a few more times for sure. So another game that I'm playing right now that I put in like by mistake, I thought it was going to be like XCOM, like the Vita version, right? And I think you might have this game as well, Gareth. It's the Bureau XCOM Declassified.
I haven't got it, but I've had it in my hand in the second-hand shop, sort of 3 or 4 times, wondering whether to pick it up or not. And because it's about £1.50 over here in one of the sort of shops.
It's so worth it.
Is it as good as it?
So worth it. Okay. So they gave it away on PS Plus a while back. So it might be one of those tucked away in your, if you redeem everything.
Yeah, I'll have to have a look.
Yeah, it was way back in the PS3 generation when they were giving it away. But I've had it downloaded on a console for years. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this because this is kind of what I want to have in the background. This one, the Bureau XCOM Declassified, is a third-person shooter, and it's awesome. Like, it's awesome.
Is it turn-based though? Is it? Because on the back of the box it says strategy, doesn't it? And
you have like companions that you acquire,
right? And
you can tell them what to do. So, it's very control in presentation, right? So it's got the 1950s, or 1930s. Well, it was the 50s whenever aliens first started becoming a thing. At least around here in the States, Roswell and all that stuff. So it's got the old mafia style looking cars. Maybe it is 30s. I don't know. But you're like, it's a third person shooter. You're killing aliens, and it's like you'll meet a companion, and then you'll go, oh, hey, you go over there, flank, set up a turret. You go over there, take a critical shot, and then I'll charge the middle. So it is very light in strategy, at least what I've experienced so far. But it's a very good third-person shooter, and it's very interesting. There's lots of dialogue trees and conversations you have with people, like in the vein of Control. You know, like when you're going through the oldest house and you're having these conversations with people. I don't know how much of it really matters, but it's cool, and it's all baked into that old aliens theme. Little gray men and stuff like that. It's cool, man. Like it's got a lot of style to it. And I am very much enjoying it. I did not expect this one. This one kind of crept up on my radar, but there's a theme right now. Like I didn't think I was in a mood, but I'm in a mood because aliens is my mood. Because I'm going to jump real quick. And a game I just recently platinumed is Gray Skies. That's a War of the World story. And I played this the first time, like years ago. I bought it. It was on sale or something. Or maybe I bought it brand new for $15. I don't remember. But I got it digitally. on the PlayStation Network, and I put it in and I died a bunch. I was like, man, this is kind of tough. Like, this is not like the stealth it's a little janky. Like over here in the States, we have like whenever you have like a or double A title come from like a obscure European studio that like has maybe some jagged edges and maybe you get stuck on walls and maybe the animations are a little weird on the face. We call it Eurojank.
Yeah.
And there's something charming about Eurojank. It's the same thing that's charming to me about like a B movie. Like I love B movie horror movies and thrillers and stuff like that. And I love video games that kind of fall in that same realm. And Gray Skies has that charm to it where there's certain parts of the game where it's super intense and it's super like the tension builds up almost like a survival horror. But then when I'm running away from an enemy, I get stuck on a wall or something, or I don't necessarily jump over something like I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a little clunky, but not in a way that's so bad that I never want to play it again. I like it a lot. And so I remember playing the game and I was like, this is kind of tough. You really got to stealth around. Well, I found a video from iBad Driver, the guy that does all the easy platinums. He's like, yeah, dude, if you can get in your mind to break the game, like don't necessarily do all the stealth, just bolt through it and get to the next checkpoint. You can platinum this game in like 2 hours. I was like, really? And so you have to be very specific on how, like he does a very, very good video where you go and like, you bolt past these guys, you get to this checkpoint, you get all the collectibles, you bolt past these guys, you do all that. So he kind of breaks the game, but he says in the video, like, go through it and experience it because the atmosphere is awesome. He's like, but here's like the quick way through if you want to just whatever. So I kind of did a little bit of both. I already had experience playing the game and I saw where the sequel, Darker Skies, was on sale in our last PlayStation sale. So I bought it and I was like, well, I can't be a poser before I start it, just like Hitman. Before I start it, I need to go play the other one again, give it another shot. And so I looked up a trophy guide just to see if there's missables and just to see whatever. And I found that video. So then I watched the video and I'm like, oh man. So there's certain sections that I would just kind of get lost in the sauce and just like, I did the full on stealth and I was, really enjoying the atmosphere and the tension. But then there's other times where I died a few times. I got frustrated. I was like, where's the video? And I just bolt through it. And so I did some kind of warm medium of that and platinum the game. And it was awesome. But it's the aliens. There's something about the tension and the sci-fi nature that like really is interesting to me right now. So the Bureau, XCOM, and War of the Worlds all in the span of a couple of weeks. I'm like, oh man, I'm really digging this. So
get back into. I keep thinking I did platinum the PS4 version, but I'm contemplating doing the PS5 with Control, getting back into
it. Yeah. I started it. Matter of fact, I started it back when we were doing the GTGSE, and I just love that game. I want Alan Wake 2 so bad. I went and played the DLC kind of in preparation. The Control DLC with Alan Wake in it. And dude, that DLC is wild.
That's why I want to do the PS5 version because I did the PS4 version before we had these tiers on PS Extra. It was PS Now, wasn't it? And Control was on PS Now. Mm-hmm. And but it didn't include the DLC. So
that's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one. Now that the PS5 we got given the full edition including DLC away on Plus a while ago. That's why that's why I've been considering going back to it.
Definitely do it. So getting back in line with the GTSC, I stacked 2 versions of Prototype 2. I don't know if you ever played it.
I haven't, but I bought it last week, Prototype 1 and 2.
Okay. Prototype 1 is much harder than Prototype 2. I think actually the trophy guide, it says it's like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. Really? It's a grind and it's hard. But Prototype 2 is, I would say, maybe like a 3 or a 4, right. When it comes to difficulty. It's not hard if you do an easy playthrough, because you got to go back and beat the game on hard. So if you do an easy playthrough and just focus on getting all the collectibles, which upgrade your character really fast, and you, instead of going into areas and just killing everything, like you try to consume the highlighted people so you can get your upgrade stuff done quick. When you do your hard playthrough, you can roll your abilities over and it's like God mode. And so what I did was I I put it in as like a button masher because it's essentially like Venom or Carnage, the game. Like you go around, it's an open world game, checkboxy style game, but you essentially get Venom or Carnage style power ups, and you just kill everything. And it's so satisfying. It's so fun. And you consume people and you consume these enemies or whatever. And so I started playing through it just as kind of like I don't need sound for this. My wife was watching whatever version of reality trash that she was into at the time. And so I'm just kind of talking with her. We got her thing going on, my game going. I was like, man, this is fun. So I ended up beating the game. And then I immediately roll over, and I got all the collectibles on my first run. And so I immediately rolled over and got it all the way to the final mission. And I was like, I'll stop. And then I'll put in the PS3 version. And I already beat the game on PS3.
Yeah.
So I did the same thing. And now I'm like right at the end, but I need to get, I need one more power up. So I have 2 trophies left on that one before the platinum. And then I went and got the collectibles and all that stuff. I've done like almost an entire full playthrough. So so I got those 2 prime. Now, are they tons of points? No. But did I have a blast doing it? Absolutely. And then when GTTSC starts up, I'll do one of those weeks where we needed some extra points, or maybe I'm low on time.
Yeah.
I'll just dive in, pop that one. So now, while you're doing that, I got one more I'm going to end with, and that is Jack 2. Now, this one you may or may not have already done, but there's a debug mode in Jack 2. And we now, with PlayStation Plus Premium, have all the Jack games.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to buy them to do the debug mode, but it's weird because when you look at the trophy guide doesn't use the debug mode. Like, I think the one on PSN Profiles, if I'm not mistaken, doesn't even mention the debug mode. So, like, it's kind of like, here's the strategy to how to platinum this thing, kind of whatever. And it's like a 3 or 4 out of 10. I don't even remember. I'll look at it while we're talking. But, there's a video. Yeah, it says 5 out of 10 difficulty, 18 hours, 1 playthrough. And it doesn't mention the debug mode. Well, I find a video online showing you how to do the debug mode. And I was like, I downloaded it because I was like, maybe it's disabled, maybe the reason why it's not referenced in that guide is because it doesn't work, or it used to work. It doesn't work anymore. Yeah. Maybe it only works on the Vita version, because that was where I originally heard about the debug mode. So I go in there, I follow the video, and every trophy but the last one pops. So I was like, interesting.
So you had more success with it than I did, because I have got the platinum in it, but I'm just looking now with my PSN, because I remember that game stinking the place out. There was sections of that I made me hate that game. Sort of.
Yeah.
So when I tried the debug, it only popped like half the trophies, maybe. So then I still because I can see I did it in 2 weeks, but looking at the sort of timestamps of my trophies, a lot of them happened sort of on the 9th of March 2018. But then, I say a lot of them, maybe about 12 of them, but then the rest are all at different other times, so yeah. I had to do it the hard way.
I got lucky. I found a good video, and I popped a ton of the trophies and stopped right there, because I was like, well, the last trophy is destroying the final boss.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I'll just wait, and we'll do that during the thing. Now, it's a common trophy. It's not really worth any points, and the platinum is a common trophy. But I mean, hey, it's there. It'll be.
But with that, there's times in that competition you don't need to get a lot of points, but if you've got the option to down. I'm just looking at the point. It's 5. That platinum is worth 257 points. So, which is a decent. It's not an insignificant amount of points. That's well worth getting. Plus, then you get the. Whatever the last trophy you've got is, whatever that's called, that's going to be worth points as well. As well. So you're probably looking at about 300 points, probably, sort of, for just doing that one game.
Yep. And you never know; it might sync up on a day where you need it for a event. Maybe you need to get a platinum, or maybe you need to get whatever the letter is that it starts with. So yeah, I've got looking at my list right now. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games kind of down to the last 1 or 2 trophies.
Well, that's 7 more than last year.
Yep, exactly. And the cool thing is, it's like some of them might require the whole last play, the medium. I got to do the collectible playthrough where you get all the collectibles in one run. So sure, that's not necessarily like a do it in 30 seconds kind of easy thing, but it's something that I can focus on. So when we get there, it's like, okay, I'm going to play this, and this, and then this week I'll do the mediums, collectible walkthrough.
Excellent. No, sounds really good. Some good games there.
Yeah, so fun stuff. So yeah, so I'll turn it over to you, and then we can knock out the actual rarity update and a lot of that, the stuff we talked about, kind of.
Yeah. So okay. So I mean, what we'll do, looking at sort of timings, so what I do want to talk about is at the back end of this this show or this episode is what we've discussed and plans for next year, because I will be doing the event again. I think it's been well received. I think people have partook in it. They've sort of, for the most part, there'll probably be some changes to be made, because obviously some people have bowed out from the PlayStation. Sadak has not been seen since September on the PlayStation, so whether he's now migrated completely across to Xbox, I'm not sure. But
we'll have to reel him back in.
Well, yeah, but anyone who and I noticed Homer. He left the trophy looting group. I understand he also left Trophy Horse group. So we obviously you sort of doing it, spending this time doing it for people who don't even know they're in it. So I think like trust.
Right.
I mean? So I might have like an opt-in scheme. Do you know what I mean? If people want to be in it, they can be in it. And but I'm certainly not going to force anybody out. But I'd rather people be in it that want to be in it, rather than sort of to save time and effort. So I'll go into, obviously, we're now only probably, what is it? We're in November. We're probably only 6 weeks away from finishing this thing. I mean, it's when I first thought about doing this, it was, I underestimated, I think, probably the amount of work that it was going to take. But the statistics side of things is all, I enjoy that. That's part of my job anyway, and I've sort of done dissertations on that. So I enjoy looking at that and analysing it and seeing it, which is why there are certain statistics in there. Rarest trophies and rarest trophy of the week and stuff like that. I think it's good to see. It's certainly good to discuss. It's and it's certainly good to listen to, because the community events are probably on any podcast are my favourite part of sort of and listen to what people are playing and people's opinions on games and stuff. And these normally. What people have been playing in these events leads into sort of what can be discussed on the podcast anyway. So with 6 weeks to go, where do you want me to start? The bottom or the top?
Let's start with the bottom. We know who the bottom boy is.
Okay, we have. So One Plat Zach, we haven't had any movement on him since May. I think that, but didn't you give him a PS4 hard drive as well?
Yeah, but apparently it didn't fix this problem, and then. I think he did get it fixed, but the guy that lended him the PlayStation, once it was fixed, he was kind of like, "Hey, can I get that back?"
Right, okay.
So, but also Zach ended up changing careers. So another, just again, and I'll interject as we go through, and trying not to derail too bad, but part of the farewell hiatus of the Loot Bros was there's a lot of changes behind the scenes, career wise. Life wise. So Zach actually went to become a corrections officer. So he's working, he's a veteran, he served in the military over here, and he was doing a utility job that he didn't necessarily love and worked hours and was on call a bunch, and it just didn't necessarily line up with his family life. So now he does shift work at a corrections facility.
Excellent.
So,
okay.
Essentially as a cop, yeah. So it's very fitting. It works. It plays to his strengths, and he had to shave his beard off.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, maybe he needs to be corrected himself to get back to PlayStation. So, but having said that, he did earn 2 points this week, albeit not from earning trophies, but obviously one of his trophies became rarer than it previously was. So he's bottom of the pile. With still his solitary plat in I don't know God knows what game it is, probably Mayo or something like that.
Yeah,
He's on 11 points. Kalai hasn't scored a point. Well, she has scored a point. She hasn't earned a trophy since she's got back from her cruise. So she's second bottom on 73 points. And then we have someone who joined halfway through, maybe a little bit earlier than halfway through the season. Big Bernardob. And it's quite interesting seeing sort of how people game and sort of you pick up certain games that they're playing. Like there are certain people I'll come into in a minute, and they are picking up every brand new AAA big game, new game that comes out straight away. There are certain ones, and then you see others that are sort of all about the backlog and going back. So Big Bernard Derby's he had 9 points and is on 196 points. He's been playing a lot of the EA Sports Football Club game, which obviously is a newly released one. He goes through spells really. He has a lot of easy common plats. He plays quite a bit. I think of some of the Paugi games. But his average, he hasn't been scoring 9 to 12 points probably is his average a week. So and he had 9 this week, which puts him on 196. Then you get, so Tross is next. He's in 24th place. So that's obviously Tricky's. And I think I told the story of where that sort of, he wasn't even intended to be in this competition. I think Tricky, I think, was adding him to Backlog Beatdown or something like that along them lines. It was some competition, and he messaged me about it, thinking he meant join the rarity one. So I added him on anyway, and as it turns out, he joined that. And for a little while, he didn't even know he was in it. But he's one who does go through the AAA games. He ended up sort of platinum in Spider-Man 2 last week.
There you go.
And he's moved on to and this is the problem. You play the new games and you got to take the consequences, which is why he had -4 points this week.
Yep.
He earned a load of points when those. I think he had some Spider-Man 2 trophies that were ultra rare a couple of weeks ago. Just so happened because obviously I presume it was released on a Friday. I did the update on a Saturday or Sunday, so obviously therefore they're ultra rare. They're now common at that point, so he lost points. But he's back playing another new game, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. So
which I hear very mixed things about.
Yeah, it's because isn't it the Modern Warfare 3 is the Modern Warfare 2 remastered maps, like Favela and stuff like that, isn't it? Is that right?
So it's remastered maps, but also the campaign is 3 hours long. And when they posted the PS4 version, it's a full trophy list with a platinum. When they posted the PS5 version, it attaches itself to Modern Warfare 2 as DLC, no platinum.
Yeah, I saw that, and that ties in with their sort of Steam thing that they do, isn't it? Because they're trying to almost like have a hub, isn't it? That's Call of Duty. It has almost like its own sort of, and then everything else falls under Call of Duty as an umbrella. But he had -4, so he's on 233 points. He's not too far off. These two have been battling it out for a little while, but that's Departed, 570. After he finally sorted his name out, he was obviously going to change. He did for a couple of weeks change his name, but then realised he wanted to go back to what he did. But he had 5 points this week, and he earned the Spider-Man 2 Platinum this week, and that was his rarest trophy of the week. And that was at 58%, so it actually didn't earn him any points, but he did earn 5 points in total, taking him to 251. And then the other one who's in that little group, there's 3 in that group who sort of have all been there, pretty much there or thereabouts, is Darth Knight 82. I know he's a listener on Trophy Whores. He's quite often in the chat on a Sunday evening with the guys. But he's a couple of trophies a week, 2, 3, 4, 5 trophies a week guy. He had 4 points this week, and he's been doing golf with your friends. And that was his rarest trophy. It was a 10.88% one, which is reasonable because obviously some of those are quite common. So he's obviously, I think he must be working towards a platinum on that one to be earning those rarer trophies. But he's on 273 points, and that is quite a good platinum to go for. The next 2 didn't earn any trophies this week, which is Stink Palm. He's in 21st place. I thought Jared might do more than what he has done, but this season. But he had 4 points, 427 in total. but he is playing Diablo 4, which is and he's near the back end of that. I think he's about 86% of the way through the trophy. So I think that to get the platinum from where he is, I think he probably will get it, but it's a grind without getting many trophies. So if that's all he's playing, he's going to be relying on legacy until he plays another game. I think he did sort of dip his toe into one of the what's it called, the series of Man of Medan and House of Ashes as well.
Yeah. I just finished House of Ashes myself, and it's not the best.
No.
It's the worst of the group so far, but I hear The Devil Inside is the best.
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, I do need to get into those because, as I said, I did like Until Dawn.
Little Hope is my favorite personally so far. I think Little Hope was awesome. It's very Silent Hill.
Yeah.
But that's just me.
Next is Sadak. He dropped 2 places down to 18th from down to 20th from 18th. He had negative 2 points. I think 4th of September was the last time he earned a trophy. So he's on 573 points, which has meant that there's the next 3 have all capitalised, and the next 3 have all been close as well, actually, to be fair. So, which is the Brain 76. So Riley has been doing bits. He's obviously they do a lot of the co-op stuff, don't they? Sort of Riley, Homer, Yield, MZ, and so 2 of them had the same rarest trophy of the week, and actually it was both of them, both him and Riley and Homer. It was their rarest trophy of the season as well, which was 7.44% for Moon Mission Meister in Borderlands the pre-sequel. So obviously that must be a co-op related trophy, but he had 26 points, taking him to above Sadat to 587, and he closed the gap on JT, the commish, who's on 596. So he's 9 points ahead of Riley. He only had 1 point this week, and it looks like when at the time of doing this update, he was just getting started into Spider-Man 2 because his rarest trophy was a new suit. So I'm presuming that's for picking up your first suit or something like that, I guess.
Yep.
Then we had probably the biggest mover of the week was Homer, who went up 3 places from 20th to 17th. He overtook Sadak, Riley, and JT. Probably his best week to date, if certainly one of them. He had 74 points, so taking him to 610. Again, I've already said that his rarest trophy was the Moon Mission Meister in Borderlands, the pre-sequel, along with Riley. So that's a really good week for Homer, and that's taking him I think he's still got his work cut out to get any higher than that, because the 2 above him are either accelerating away or maybe a bit too far in advance. So the next 2 then are in 16th place is another late entry, and it will be really interesting to see how this person does next season. That's California Wayne. Have you looked at the table? Have you come across him? Okay, so he joined. There was 3 that joined at a similar sort of time. Him, Big Bernadette, and the 2 of them it was. Yeah, those 2. But he's in the rarest trophies of the week consistently, virtually every week. He's He's getting a trophy in that top 5, and he's gone. Considering he only joined in maybe May, June time, he's on 874 points already. So he had 51 points this week. His rarest trophy was in Rapala Fishing Series. Got to cast them all, but he recently did the platinum in Car Mechanic Simulator, which is obviously a big grind, ultra rare platinum as well. So he'll probably have Tricky in his sights, because Tricky's next on 1,094 points. So Tricky had, so what's that difference? About 220 points. So that's what he would need to catch up if he can catch Tricky.
This is the same Tricky that said he was going to be in the top 5, right?
Yeah, and yeah, I think he kind of underestimated sort of the scale of what he was trying to take on at that point. But, I mean, he had 38 points, and he had a 24-hour gaming session in there, so he's
He's just getting warmed up, Gareth.
But 38 points isn't a bad week. But if someone gave me a 24-hour window to go to just game and not do anything else other than that, I'd probably be at more than 38 points. But
it'd be at least 39.
yeah. And I've been watching him a little bit in his extra live streams, and his rarest trophy at the time was Sexton in Metal Gear Solid 2, the remake, and that I was watching a little bit of his stream doing that, and it did make me want to pick it up when I saw him playing it. It is on my list to eventually get, but as I said, those points took him to nearly 1100, and he's not a million miles away from. I think I'd said. On the trophy, I'd asked a question a couple of weeks ago on the trophy horse whether he'll be able to catch dupes, and I think one of either Alex or Trick Yield, one of them said yes, one of them said no. But there's dupes only had 2 points, which takes him to 1158. So he's got a lead of about 66 points or something over Tricky. Dupes is another one who goes to play the sort of newest releases. Quite often, sometimes the more obscure ones as well. Sort of the Japanese ones. Certainly not my cup of tea, but Stardew Valley. So he's gone back. That was one of his rarest trophies this week. 13th is one of your former podcast co-hosts. This is Jason Priestley. So. He's been playing his rarest trophy was Ghostwire Tokyo, but I think he'd finished this, hadn't he? And he's moved on to Days Gone. Is that right? I think it is.
Oh, that's a good game, man. That's a fun one.
So I think, by the time this next update is done, I think we'll be seeing sort of Days Gone trophies on there now. But 25 points, which is probably about his average, roughly. He's there. He's certainly always in the 20s, but that takes him to 1,232. He's probably clear of dupes with the way that dupes games with newest releases, and then suffering the decay. A couple of weeks later. 12th is MZ. MZ didn't score a trophy in this week though. Last week, so.
But he did just pop a platinum. He just messaged us, said he got a platinum.
Did you see the platinum he got it in?
No,
so that's going to get. He's going to get 2 ultra rares for the because he got the platinum this morning. I woke up to see it, and in Deep Rock Galactic.
Oh wow!
903 hours. That was his game time on that. So
that's crazy.
So that. When that comes up, which will be next week, that will obviously not only get him 20 points just for those 2 trophies, but that will stick him in the top 5 rarest trophies of the season as well. So, because I think the platinum on the PS4 is, because I know he doesn't have PS5, is 0.64%. So he's done really well to get that one. So that might be why he didn't have any trophies that week, because obviously he might have been working on the grind to that, and obviously that back end grind is, as we know from Yield, is a tough one, or certainly a long one.
It must have been a fun game, or just had a really good time with those guys playing it together, because that's crazy.
It's a commitment, that is, isn't it? So I think I tried it. Fortunately, I didn't pop any trophies. It wasn't for me. I didn't like it. I couldn't get on with it. So I just deleted it at that point. Next up is in 11th place and dropping down a place is Corey, the Grounded Gamer. He had a negative 12. He had a really good week last week, but that, as I said, I think I pre-warned that he was going to suffer some kind of decay from some of the newer games that he was playing. So he had minus 12, taking him back down to 1392. He is playing PGA Tour 2K23, which would be a nice one if he does. He doesn't tend to platinum too many games, but both him and Joe, actually, when you go through their list, they play about 10 to 15 games, different games in a week, and they play more than anybody in terms of the actual volume of games, and just trying different ones. It's quite interesting to see. Next up, so we're getting to the top 10 was Yield, but Yield got his way back into the top 10 because the 4 of them is really tight. So from 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th is really tight. So Yield got his way back into the top 10. He had 44 points, including an ultra rare in Deep Rock Galactic. So he'll be probably on the course for the platinum at some point soon, probably before the end of the year. He's on 1428, and just keeping ahead of them is CJ, who is in 9th place, and someone we haven't heard a lot from recently. So it'd be nice to hear from him if he's listening to this. But he had 38 points, taken to 1462, and again I noticed that he's been playing some of the newly released games. Spider-Man 2, Hot Wheels Unleashed 2, the new Lords of the Falkland he's been playing as well, which is...
Yeah, I talked to him not too long before we landed the plane.
Okay.
And he's traveling. So
is he?
I had joked, I had made a joke and said something about him traveling the world or whatever, and that's why we hadn't seen or heard from him. Yeah. But sure enough, like he's traveling.
I didn't realize he was traveling. Okay.
Yeah, he's traveling. So
excellent. Okay. Next up is yourself in 8th place. So 15 points for you, Darrell. Mm-hmm. Taking you to 1938. So I think you're safe. Yeah, you're definitely safe in 8th place, aren't you? Because it's about 500 points difference there between you and CJ on the list. Into the Sunset in House of Ashes was your rarest trophy of the week for last week.
It's interesting that I've been able to stay in the top 10 with the inconsistency of me playing, and not only that, but like also like I just kind of got like disconnected from like all the trophy events that we've been in, all the things that I had signed up for. I was just kind of like, man, I'm just going to play what feels good. And if that means I get good trophies, I'm going to get trophies. I'm not going to not get trophies. But if that means I get good trophies or good valuable trophies, then I will. If I don't, I don't. And I've done enough to maintain top 10, but not enough to progress back on Alex. Because once I passed him, he like turned the heat up.
Yeah, he did. And so but that's the way that I want the competition to be. I don't necessarily want people just to be playing not what they don't want to be playing. I want people to be playing what they want to be playing, and if they get points, they get points. It's not. Mm-hmm. This is just a friendly competition. It adds discussion points, when we're talking on podcasts, and gives people ideas of games they might want to play. That it's nothing more than that, really. It's nice to have that competitive edge, and I'm naturally competitive in everything that I do anyway. So and that's the reason I set it up. So, but I don't want people going into this thinking, I'm not gonna enter next year because I won't score many points. It's not about that. I don't care whether you score 0 points or 2,000 points, whatever it is. It's as long as you're enjoying your gaming, you just have to post. You enter, and I'll do the rest of the work. And
there you go.
Do what you do. But then you had Diego overtook you, didn't he, a few weeks ago? Because Diego has been playing. He's been doing well. He had 56 points this week, and he went for a spell of just going for his PS3 games, and he's sort of a few of the Call of Duties.
He's knocked out some good ones.
He has, and he's doing the Drive of San Francisco at the moment. So, and he messaged me about doing the online. So I did the online with MZ last year, I think it was, when they announced they were closing it down. But I think they never did close it down, which is why he's jumping on the online now to try and get it done before they do. So he's probably about a couple hundred points ahead of you. He's on 2163, roughly. Then we had Alex. He's lost points. He's on negative points. I think this is the 4th week, or certainly the 3rd week in a row where he's on negative points because... it's not that he hasn't been playing or earning trophies. He had a massive 210 point week from the week after Weird West joined PlayStation Plus Essential in October. Obviously, he had the double platinum in that already. So as soon as that hit PS Plus and people were trying it, that obviously boosted all his trophies up back up. I think he had an ultra rare increase of about 19 trophies or 26 trophies in that 1 week. I think it was 26. And but obviously, as more and more as time goes on, people are getting more involved in that game, getting deeper into it, earning more and more trophies, which has resulted in slightly negative points. I think that the most he had was minus 26. He had minus 10 this week, because at that 210 at one point took him above me and into fifth place. But he sort of slipped back a bit, but he's still been earning platinums. I know that he did one in Pumpkin Jack. He had Medieval Resurrection as well recently as well. That was this week, Medieval Resurrection. So yeah, Alex is always going to be gaming, isn't he? He's always going to be.
Oh yeah, he's a completionist, and he will put himself through the ringer.
So no, I'm sort of. I like the way he does it, and he sticks with one game, doesn't he? Sort of doesn't get too sidetracked with other stuff.
I can't do that, man. I'm all over the place.
So then it was myself. I'm into fifth plus. Yeah, stayed in fifth now. That's probably where I have been, probably where I was. I can't see myself getting any higher further. But I had 29 points. I'd been away for I hadn't been away for the weekend. It was the weekend before, but the weekend before I'd been away and I'd got my Vita out, and I'd been playing Lemon's Touch, and that's what my rarest trophy of this week came into, which was a very rare one, 8.05%, which helped to get my 29. So I'm on 2793. I've got about 160 point lead over Alex. Top four, we got Styling, 76 points again, and still it's probably been about 5-6 weeks that he's not earned a trophy in Train SimWorld, but obviously they still keep doing the work for him.
That's the train that just keeps on going.
It keeps getting. I think he had an ultra rare increase of about 4 ultra rare increase, because obviously as soon as people buy or put that DLC in, and if they don't complete it, and because obviously it's such a long arduous game anyway, it means that obviously that will increase. But he's been doing Monster Hunter Rise, so and still been earning decent trophies out the DLC. You know, his rarest trophy was 8.03%. So he's still going. He's on 3,078 points, so he'll probably finish fourth because he's 500 odd points away from Rick. Rick has slowed down in the last couple of weeks since he set up his platinum getting business.
he's an entrepreneur now.
he's sticking the price up, I think he said, actually, after this last one. So,
dude, I don't blame him. That's a lot of hours.
Yeah.
Even for your favorite game.
Yeah, when you break it down, it's an hourly rate. But I think he has got the platinum for that guy now, or he certainly was planned on it. But he only had 4 points this week, and again, he'd made a start on Spider-Man 2. So they were all legacy points that he'd earned. So there was a spell maybe sort of 6 weeks ago where he'd got himself back into contention to potentially win it, but I think that's fallen by the wayside now with his other endeavours, and but which leaves it really down to the top two are really battling it out. Although so in second place we've got Meese Goats a lot, and Meese Goats a lot obviously. He was hammering it at one point, wasn't he? He was top. He was top by 500-600 points at one stage, and he was trying to exploit various different games, and sort of. I think he did Sims 4. Remember we did that for GTTSC.
Yeah.
Minecraft as well, which has got some rare. So he had 75 points this week, taken him to 3769. His rarest trophy was in Mirror's Edge Catalyst, so. I can see that's a game that I am going to have to start because I want to get the plat. I hate because obviously the server shut down on that one, December the 8th. So there are 2 online trophies to get. So if anybody wants those online trophies, you've got to play through to, I think it's level mission 3, and then those online trophies become available at that point. And they're very easy to get, but you've got to get through the first maybe hour of the game, hour and a half of the game before you can actually unlock them. So he must be doing that, because that's what his rarest trophy is coming into. He's on 75 points. Which leaves Marky Fraser, who sort of took over the lead probably around June time, maybe even earlier than that. Probably around June. And he had a 111 point increase this week, taking him to 4,140. And he's been smashing it, really. And it got close, to be fair. A couple of weeks ago, there was only... I think 70 odd points in it between the two of them. No, 100 odd points, but obviously that's increased now to around sort of 250. So it's his to lose. also he had the platinum this week in Rebel Galaxy, which was an ultra rare. I'm not familiar with Rebel Galaxy, but
I think I've seen the logo. I might even own it, but I don't know that I've ever played it.
Yeah, I'm speaking of, actually, I didn't mention it earlier, but not a platinum. We had one person who got 100% on a game, which was California Wayne, and he had 100% in the Warriors game. That's PS3, isn't it? The Warriors based on the film. So, so that's where we are. We're bang up to date. That's the latest rarity update. In terms of the rarest trophies of 2023, we've got the Hero We Deserve, which is Marky Fraser. He could be on for a double. Rarest trophy and the overall win. That's in Injustice Gods Amongst Men, which has reached level 100. Which I guess is hard, because that's a point.
It's very hard. I've been trying off and on for years, but you just... If I was smart enough to just dedicate my room to self-boosting that game...
Yeah.
It's hard. It's a grind. And the thing about that platinum, because I got the platinum in Injustice 2, and it was tough, but it wasn't that tough. But like the stages that you have to go through, like, you really got to master the game. Yeah. And I'm a button masher, not a button master.
So yeah, so he could be on for a double, and then obviously Rick is second with 0.56%. I mean, all the top 5 rare trophies are under 1%, they're sub 1%, and obviously that's going to improve even further because Rick's MZ is probably is 0.64, so he's going to come in probably in 5th place and knock me out actually on that. So yeah, that's where we are. We'll see if anyone else can get any sort of other rare trophies or rarer than. I mean, if you're going to go in that rare trophy, you're going to have to get better than 0.64%, which is going to take some doing. That's some effort from the people that have got that. In fact, you're in it yourself as in 4th place at the moment at 0.63% for Nidhogg.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So win 100 games through metric.
Yep. Well, hey, if anyone can do it, it's Tricky Mick.
Yeah. Is that well? I mean, Assassin's Creed Mirage, maybe. I don't think that's more like 44% rather than 0.44%.
I guess the goal would be on the last day of the competition, play whatever game comes out that day.
Well, it depends when I do the update, though, doesn't it? Certainly won't be doing it New Year's Eve. So, New Year's Day. So, but yeah, which brings us on to next year, because obviously, just conscious of times and when my parents will be bringing my kids back home, and then the peace is disturbed. So I put out something earlier in the week actually and actually I discussed it on Tricky Stream about that I think being American, he didn't understand it necessarily. Because I'm not. That's not a slight at Americans at all. It's just that when it comes to sport, like, so in the UK we have every sport that you play has a promotion and relegation, yeah. But in American sport, it's always the top level teams are the top level teams, aren't they? They're the sort of base basketball. You don't and that's why sort of UK sport and sort of sport in Europe is considered, because you could have. Are you aware of Wrexham FC? You must be, mustn't you? Mm-hmm. No. So Wrexham play in the non-league, but that's the team that is owned by Ryan Reynolds and
okay.
I can't think who we got. Rob McElhenney, or whatever he's called. And the beauty of that is that team, that the reason they invested in that is because they've got the ability to take that team from the very bottom, and with enough investment and the right results and right players, they could potentially, there's nothing stopping them getting to the top. There's no bureaucracy to stop them from getting to the top league, and that's why promotion and relegation is a great thing. So the idea for next year was we could have kept it the same as what we've got, one big league. Still, I will increase the different stats. I want to sort of try and create a few more stats, which won't take me any more time to do. The only thing with that is once you're out, you're out. You know what I mean? Once you've had a bad month or so, or you say you've been on vacation for a long time,
right? The
chances of you sort of catching, which is why during the second half of the season we've not seen much movement between sort of the placings. So my overall idea was then to shorten the season to a 6-month season, but so it'll be a continuous thing. It'll be running every 6 months, as it were. not just next year, but going into the year after, year after, year after. But splitting it, depending on the number of entrants, splitting it down into 2 or 3 smaller leagues to keep the interest going. So it doesn't matter what league you're in, and I'll use this league as a placement league, as it were. So how people have performed will and that how the
Right.
performed. And so you're in a smaller league with. So if you take the top 8 or top 10, they're all going to be fairly close together because the grouping is closer together than say from first to 20th, and it's the same for the bottom. So you'll be competing against people who are scoring at a similar rate to you. Maybe have got similar play styles, playing similar games. So it's always going to be fairly competitive. The top 3 from each league will go up to the next league, and the bottom 3 will come down to the next league, and then obviously the scores will reset and you start again and for the following season, which I think is the way I probably want to do it. Tricky's issue was, and I couldn't quite get my head around what his issue. He was saying it could be considered unfair because say if somebody does. Take that Stranded Deep that was a platinum recently. So say someone got a cheap platinum, got a boost of the points, and then that person, then the new season started. His argument is then somebody else could do that Stranded Deep, but you don't have the ability to do it.
Sucks for them. Pick your games better.
Yeah. I mean, there are hundreds and hundreds of games that people can play, and people aren't going to base what they play simply on how they're going to be competing against this, how many points it's going to earn them. But that's the same for any contest. We do this GTTSC competition every year. The games we played in the previous 2 years, we aren't going to be able to play again. But
Right.
there are plenty of other games that we can play, and it'll be the same for other people. Everybody will have games they can't touch, but can touch others that other people can play. So it balances itself out.
And the people that beat us last year with the games they beat us with, they can't beat us with those next year. So we can copy their work and we can play the next round. So the thing about Tricky, and I love Tricky to death, but he's always got some kind of issue or needs some kind of concession. It's like, how about just play the game, brother? How about just play the game? I think here's my take is this. I know how much work comes on the stuff on the back end. And because every time we do a backlog beat down, there's a whole bunch of work, and I think that the way we do things is even simpler than what you're doing. I think what you're doing takes way more time and effort. So my suggestion would be, I think the leagues, and the brackets and stuff it would be a much more interesting way to go, but it requires more work on you. So
I don't think it does require it because all I'm doing is literally taking the same statistics that I would be normally. And inputting them in, it won't take any more work to do. Okay. I genuinely don't believe it would, because all I'm doing is taking in individual statistics from PSN profiles. The one thing, sort of George, Mies Goatslut had mentioned it on a Facebook this morning. He would like some way to be able to count some of the commons trophies as point scoring. So between sort of, I don't know, say 50 to 70% or 75%. Whilst it would be impossible to do that because PSN profiles, you couldn't allow for decay on those trophies. You couldn't. So the way, and because I'd have to count every individual trophy, but I'd have to, on everybody's profile to see whether it was between 50 and 75%. Whereas at the moment I can go, well, that's your common increase against last week's, and that's your uncommon against last week's. Whereas if I was trying to do it within a bracket, it'd be impossible, and obviously you wouldn't be able to do it. The one thing that I thought I could potentially do is include bonus points. So say if somebody earned in a week, they might change, they might not change, but say if somebody earned, say, 10, 50 to 70% trophies, I could give, or 20, 50 to 70% trophies, I could give a bonus point of, say, 5 points or 10 points, depending on what it is. But you can't score more than, it's not a point per trophy. Do you know what I mean? If you can get to 10, you get 5 extra points, or if you can get to 20, you get an extra 10 or something like that. But just cut it off at that. So then I'd only need to count. So say if I did it at 10 for 5 extra points, I could then just count as soon as I got to 10, between, say that's 58, 60, That's one's 54. As soon as I got 10, I could cut it off. I wouldn't need to do it any more than that. So, and that's another. So, if I can introduce sort of some bonus points, I could introduce it on, and this is where I'll get the feedback from. I could introduce potentially bonus points on number of trophies earned, but do I want to be doing that and having spam sort of being
right?
And I don't really want to be. The worst profiles to go through are CJs and trickies, because when you go through that, because you've got to go through the trophy log, and when you see like page after page, 99%, 99%, 99%, and you're just constantly going through. I did check earlier, because if PSN profiles you could sort by rarity and date earned, that'd be perfect, because then I could just go, well, tell me everything between up to 70%, and then in chronological order, and then that would sort of do it. But unfortunately, it doesn't. Do
right,
that.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't make it too complicated with stuff like that. I think personally, what you did, break it and do it in increments. Like, let's say maybe you do eventually want to get there. Maybe do that on round 3 once you've kind of wrapped your head around it. If you're going to make any changes now, my suggestion, you do what you want, would be, okay, then let's just break into the leagues. Then you do the 6 months league and see how that goes.
Yeah.
And then if you want to throw bonuses out there, I learned this doing bonuses, that's when you start getting a lot of whining and crying. It's like, well, you get. So like, when we added the list this year, I thought the list would be really great, because that gives the opportunity for the bottom players to get up to the top players. And all they got to do is look at the list.
Yeah.
101 games is such a long list of games. Most people don't beat 100 games in the span of 2 years, much less 1 year. And so much crying from the list. And like even Jason Priestley, he like didn't want to play because of the list. I'm like, oh, look, you don't have to use the list. It's just there if you need a leg up. It's like, it's kind of one of those things where when you throw bonuses out there, some people are going to go, oh, that was very kind of you, Gareth. Thank you for the opportunity to get bonus points. And the other people are going to go, look what you took from me.
Yeah.
Look what you did to me.
I think you might be right. I think it might be best to keep it simple.
Sometimes that's
sometimes
keep it simple.
Everyone knows where they stand with that, don't they? With the scoring system as it is. If there's any way that I can introduce something and it doesn't increase the amount of work that I have to do on it, then I might consider it. But
and you could always do game by game. You know what I'm saying? You could say, all right, guys, here's the thing for this season or this month. If you beat my favorite game, I'll throw bonus points in there. Why do you ask that? Because it's my contest and it's my favorite game, and I can do what I want.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a good idea. That's a good shout, that is. So so it's all these little things. So so for anybody who is listening to this afterwards, if you let me know if you've what changes you think should be made or could be made, or if you want to partake next year, or if you don't want to partake next year, then let me know. But because I do. There's a couple of people who I know who are keen to getting involved, and I basically from another community, which I might be doing a bit of podcasting on there myself. So I don't want to sort of be wasting people's time and my time if people don't want to be into it or aren't playing PlayStation. Then I'll certainly include Zach, because I don't want anyone else to be last. So
I'll never lose, guys. So as long as Zach's around, I'll never lose.
But or if you've got any questions about it, then obviously just reach out and drop me a message. But the plan is we'll start in January. I don't know if it'll be January the 1st, because I'll just need a reset to sort of work out scores and stuff. But it might be like the second week of January or something. But I'll work that out.
Perfect.
Yeah. So that's the little roundup.
Well, excellent, man. I'm glad we were able to have this conversation. It's good to see you. You know what I'm saying? Being across the pond. And I appreciate you making the time for me so we could do this, at a time that works for me. But selfishly, it's just...
No, it works for me, because like you, with a family, evenings are pretty stacked out. And obviously with the time difference, by the time he gets to your evening, it's my middle of the night. So
Right.
So it doesn't work out. And so, certain days this is good, and it'd be good to do this
absolutely
on a more regular basis.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you so much, Gareth, for your time. Thank you to the listeners. And for those of you guys who have reached out, sent messages, and said little things like, hey, we kind of missed the show. There will be more content coming out. I'm not going to say it's going to be every week. It will definitely be every month. You'll definitely have, at the very least, you'll have Gareth and I getting together monthly, and maybe even bi-monthly. We'll see. Again, no promises. I don't want to add to the workload, but to get together to have these conversations about the community events, because I don't want those to go away. And, I allowed things to get too quiet to this point, just while I was doing a bit of a reset. But yes, definitely more stuff coming. Thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for listening. This has been the Loot Bros Podcast, and Gareth and I are out of here.